Hello, Vincent. Thanks for making a video presentation of your question. You ask essentially, what is, could you tell us about Theosophy? Um, well, uh, you mentioned a few things. You mentioned uh, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and Alice Bailey. Uh, Let me see. I don't think I have my thoughts together. But anyway, there is Theosophy, which is kind of an ancient Greek idea about eclectic philosophy. It's something like, a basic problem of masculine and feminine. And I believe the eclectic philosophers of ancient Greece believed that both the masculine and feminine should be considered in our contemplation of the divine. And of course, they chose for the feminine, they chose Sophia, wisdom, because they were addressing the philosophers, whatever. So anyway, so that's how it kind of begins. Madame Blavatsky studied not so much the Greeks. I'm sure she has words about Greek philosophies, Greek gods, whatever. But she was greatly influenced by Eastern philosophy, and most sincerely influenced by operators in the world of her time that she called Mahatmas. She received letters. She was a magazine writer. She wrote articles in magazines. I believe she had a magazine, and the title was Lucifer. So in that magazine there were, I don't know, there were articles presented, about theosophy, spirituality, and at the time she was creating the magazine, she received specific letters. She received several letters from several different personalities, and these personalities she came to refer to as Mahatmas, great souls, from the Hindu language, whatever, and they're very they're fascinating letters, really. They're held at the British Museum, and anyone can read them. You go to the library. I don't know if you can copy them. Maybe you can copy them. I don't know. But anyway, I think they're published. There's probably a book where they're all published, whatever. So anyway, but the idea is that Madame Blavatsky, created a couple of foundation works. Isis Unveiled was her first book in 2 volumes. Then she did The Secret Doctrine, which is 2 volumes. First volume, Cosmogenesis. The second volume, Anthropogenesis. And that all happens about the time of the formation of the Theosophical Society that she started. She began the society in America, in New York, I think. And then they decided that the home lodge should be in India. I'm not sure if it's Delhi or Madras or wherever, but anyway, they have a lodge in India that is supposed to be the world center, and The American Center of Philosophy became Wheaton, Illinois, but anyway, for the Theosophical Society. But there are many, before I start to, tell it all, from my own memory or whatever. There's a great book, it's called Ancient Wisdom Revived. Kind of an odd title, but it is a history book, and it's a history of the theosophical movements in America, because there's the Society, there are the Point Loma Theosophists in California. They actually have their own university, and I don't know, maybe the university is still functioning, I don't know, but anyway, they were very academic group, and they contributed the best they could to, the spirit of Theosophy, which is a dedication to universal brotherhood, really. That's the first object of Theosophy, without distinction to race, creed, or color. And the second object is to study philosophy and religion in the comparative sense. You're supposed to be aware of what philosophical and theological teachings are. And the third object is to study powers latent in man. In other words, I don't know. It's the esoteric idea that life is experience, and they're very important experiences of a personal nature that should be studied. And you might say Theosophy is knowledge through experience. So that puts it in the class of empiricism. But it covers all of empiricism instead of just part of it. Like, our sciences have a method, a scientific method, which is empirical. In other words, the truth of science is not in the logic, There are a lot of things that can be logically true, but do they apply to reality? Well, maybe not, The scientific method is an empirical method because it's based on observation of nature. We have to actually take, measurements, photographs, whatever. We have to accumulate data in observations of nature, and we can formulate a hypothesis and use quantitative techniques to follow the verb. Whatever the action is that we observe in nature, we use a logic, some kind of mathematical logic to follow that, make a description of actually what happens, a logical description of how something plays out in nature. That's basically what logic is about. It's about making descriptions of processes or verbs or whatever. And the idea is that the empiricism of science is it's about what can be demonstrated in the physical sense, externally. In other words, we can make a real demonstration of, we can make a little video, or we can take an MRI. We're viewing something that can be demonstrated to others. That's ordinary science. But a very large part of life is all of your experiences within yourself. And the East has a broad tradition. There are many traditions in the East about teachers, who explore the nature of ontology, the nature of the soul, how it's structured, what the ramifications